Hello fellow troubadours. I am really excited about this video because I am convinced that with a little bit of creativity and a little bit of work, you could be making an extra $500 a month minimum just playing your guitar and doing solo acoustic gigs. All while building your skills as a player, building your community, building your potential client base for the future. I'm here to tell you that it's totally possible, and you can get started with a fairly small repertoire of 25 to 30 songs. Whether you're already an experienced gigging musician or you're just starting to play out, this is one of the easiest ways to bring in a little extra cash. I started doing it many years ago, and I turned music, specifically solo acoustic music, into my full-time profession and kind of the backbone of my entire musical professional life. In this video, I'm going to share some ideas with you on how you can make this extra money by playing gigs at places like cocktail hours, wedding ceremonies, casual private parties, nursing homes, and other short, easy to book engagements. I'll touch on a little bit of everything, starting with the kinds of songs you'll need in your set list, finding contacts and venues, and how much you can expect to earn, the good stuff. I'll break down the hourly rate so you can see why this side hustle can really be super profitable, even for just a couple of hours of playing each week. And the best part, it's flexible. You could play gigs on your schedule, weekends, evenings, whatever works for you. If you're super flexible, you could even squeeze in weekday afternoon gigs at like senior community centers or veterans hospitals. You pick up an extra couple $100 on a Tuesday afternoon. Plus, you don't need a ton of expensive equipment to get started, unlike a lot of other businesses or side hustles. And if you've been playing guitar and singing a while, you may very well have most of the gear already, right? So you can get started right away. So if you're ready to learn how to turn your guitar into an extra $500 a month or even more, stick around and we'll dive in. But before we get started, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to support my channel, you could buy me a coffee or join my Patreon. And shoot me an email if you want to inquire about some one-on-one lessons or consultations. Let's get into it. So let's start by talking a bit about the song list and the types of gigs you can play, because the two really are related. To get going with solo acoustic gigs, you don't need to memorize hundreds of songs or have a massive repertoire. No, you really need about 25 to 30 well-rehearsed songs to get you going. But you're going to want to make sure that you're getting as much bang for your buck, in that you want this fairly small list of songs to appeal to the widest range of potential listeners. To put it simply, you want songs that everyone will know and love and that are appropriate in any setting. I have separate videos specifically on song ideas. I put links in the description, so be sure to check those videos out after you watch this. And song selection is an area where you really can let your creativity run, because your choice of songs and styles and how you match them to the specific venue is how you set your brand and yourself apart. Let me give you a few song ideas to get you started that I like to play. Let's say, if the first one that comes to mind probably would have to be Stand By Me. Something real easy. When the night has come and the land is dark. Really simple. You probably can play it already. And the moon is the only light you'll see. And I mess it up, but you get the idea. Something like, he's a crowd pleaser. Hey, where did we go? Days when the rains came down in the hollow. I'm talking about Brown Eyed Girl. You're my brown eyed girl. Very, very, very simple songs. Everybody loves that song. Of course, you can never go wrong with anything by the Beatles, and I have a separate video, link in the description, on some Beatles tunes that that are crowd pleasers. You could never go wrong with the Beatles. Something like Here Comes the Sun. I mean, you may very well know it already. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, I said. When we just talked about 3 songs, that's 9 minutes of music right there. Take Me Home Country Road by John Denver. All classics that you probably should know how to play anyway, let's be real. But most importantly is these are songs that people know. And the trick is to have a set list that appeals to a wide variety of audiences. You'll be playing at places like cocktail hours, weddings, or even nursing homes. So it's important to pick tunes that everyone could enjoy. There might even be children there, right? And of course, you'll need to tailor the song selection to the types of gigs that you play the most, right? I mean, if you're playing nursing homes in the deep south, you may want to add some country tunes, some Willie Nelson, right? Some Waylon Jennings, I don't know. Or if you're playing wedding cocktail hours out in the Hamptons, right, in Long Island, you may want more modern tunes, right? Maybe some Jason Mraz, some Ed Sheeran, some Bruno Mars. And of course, the more songs you know, the better. But this video is just about getting you started. So start with your strengths, right? And a little trick you could use to start gathering song ideas is to keep a notepad with you or use the notepad function in your phone. And when you hear a song that you think would be a good fit for you to play at a solo acoustic gig, write it down so you don't forget. Then go learn it and add it to your repertoire list. By now, I hope that you're starting to get excited about the prospects of earning some extra money with just your guitar. You're probably wondering how much you should charge. Wait, you mean I get paid for this? It must be too good to be true. Well, it's not. All right, let's talk numbers. How exactly can you make an extra $500 or more a month playing solo acoustic gigs? It's really simpler than you think. You don't need to play every night or even every weekend to hit that goal. So let's break it down. I mean, let's say you just play 2 gigs a month, maybe a corporate cocktail hour or a wedding cocktail hour, right? Or a wedding ceremony. And each one pays you $250, which is fairly reasonable. Boom, 2 gigs a month, $250 each. You just made your $500. Or let's say you're playing more frequent and easier to obtain lower paying gigs. Let's say you're playing like a small venue, a nursing home or a veteran's home, which are usually fairly easy to get gigs at. Maybe a local restaurant, happy hour, right? Or a small cafe, a coffee shop or something like that, where the pay is only $125 per gig. Well, you do 4 of those, 1 a week, you're still hitting your $500 a month mark. So whether you're playing 2 high-paying gigs, 4 smaller gigs, or any mix of the two, you're still easily reaching that goal. And if you put in a little more effort, you could even exceed that goal. And that's just for a few hours of playing, right? You're not going to do that driving Uber Eats or DoorDash, I could assure you. You know how I know? Because I did it. I did it during COVID when there was no work for acoustic musicians or for any musicians for that matter. And that's back during COVID when Uber and DoorDash were paying you more than they are now. So let's break down that hourly rate, right? Even if each gig lasts 2 to 3 hours, making you $100 to $250, right? Means you're effectively earning between $50 to $125 an hour. So if you compare that to driving for Uber or DoorDash, the average rate might be like $20 an hour, probably even less. And you have to factor in gas, wear and tear on your vehicle, which is constant. Or freelance work, which really can be hit or miss, like doing some side projects on Fiverr. It's hit or miss. Playing music offers a much higher return on your time, and you're also improving your playing while you do it. So you're potentially able to earn more with future gigs because you've built on your skill set. And remember, this doesn't include tips. If you're playing in restaurants, bars, you can often earn extra $50 to $100 just by putting out a tip cup, right? If you're playing a private party, you don't want to put out a tip cup necessarily, but the person hiring you will often give you a tip. So your total income can easily go beyond the $500 mark just by playing 2 to 4 gigs a month. If you want more tips on how to make your tip cup profitable, I have a video in the description called The Art of the Tip Cup, which can show you how you can squeeze a little bit more cash out of your solo acoustic gigs. Be sure to check it out. So whether you're looking to play just a couple times a month or fill up your schedule with smaller gigs, this really is a solid way to bring in extra income. And you get to do it by playing music. Not a bad side hustle, right? All right, let's talk gear. You knew that was coming, didn't you? If you want to play solo acoustic gigs, you don't need a ton of equipment to get started. In fact, it's pretty simple. Let me talk to you a little bit about the basics. First up, the most important piece, your acoustic guitar. You don't need a high-end model, just something reliable that stays in tune and sounds good. If it feels comfortable in your hands and projects well acoustically, and most importantly sounds good when it's plugged in, you're pretty much good to go. You can go for something inexpensive like Yamaha or Fender. Both are really good budget options, but if you're ready to invest more, brands like Taylor, Martin, or Gibson are great choices, and they come with higher end electronics. But remember, you do not need to break the bank to get started. I think the most critical aspect when it comes to solo gigs is that the guitar is stable as far as the action and the tuning. You don't want a guitar that goes out of tune easily or is going to get all wonky if you play it in the outdoors, or that is super sensitive to environmental changes. You know, you're going to be taking this guitar in and out of the car a lot, right? Some acoustics can be really temperamental. So if you have a guitar that's real stable, that'd be the one to start with. My main gigging guitar is a fairly old Gibson Songwriter that has a really simple Fishman Prefix Plus T pickup system, and I'll show you a picture of what that looks like. It's proven to be very stable. I've played it all over the country. I played it all over the world for that matter, and it always plays and sounds good. And if I go to like a tropical environment or something like that, it doesn't change that much. It's stable. Now, if you're going to be singing, which most of us are, a microphone and a mic stand obviously are must-haves. One of the best mics out there, the microphone that I use, and you probably know what I'm going to say already, is the Shure SM58. It's an industry standard, it's a workhorse, it's built to last, and it's not expensive. This mic will keep your vocals sounding clear without needing any other fancy gear. And as far as mic stands go, I would recommend a boom stand versus a straight up and down mic stand. Okay, the boom stand tips, and I'll show you a picture of what that looks like. The reason is because an acoustic guitar is fat, and when you get close to the mic to sing, the guitar is going to bump into the stand, and your hands are going to bump into the stand. A boom stand allows you way more room for your guitar and your hands. Next up, depending on the size of the venue you play, you're going to need some kind of PA system or amplifier. If you're in a small venue like a coffee house, you can get away with a small portable PA. Would be perfect for solo acoustic gigs. And there are plenty of affordable options. Every brand like Bose, Mackie, Roland, Fishman, they all make great systems that are easy to carry around and set up. And many of them are even battery powered or even rechargeable, so you don't even need electricity. I play a lot of wedding ceremonies out in Central Park here in New York City where there's no power at all, and I use this small little Roland Cube, okay? This doesn't have a mic input, but I don't need that for Central Park, but this thing runs on 6 AA batteries. For a larger venue, there are of course many more powerful amps like the Fishman Loudbox or the Bose L1. Or you can go with a more modular setup like a dedicated mixing board and a powered PA speaker, whatever configuration you want. But it can get really complicated depending on what you need. But just like with guitars, don't get too caught up in the gear if you're just starting out. You can get something small for a reasonable price, and it'll be more than enough for small venues and cafes and cocktail hours like where you're going to be starting out. And you could always upgrade later as you play bigger gigs. As you play different types of gigs, you're going to have different systems that you bring depending on the size of the room. Of course, you're going to need other basic pieces of equipment like instrument and microphone cables, picks, a capo, and a reliable tuner. I like the Polytune. This thing is great. You definitely need a reliable tuner. Very, very important. You want to make sure you're always in tune. Something else that can be super helpful is an iPad or a tablet for lyrics and chord charts. Especially if you're working with 25 to 30 song set list, you might not memorize everything, and you're going to want to keep your set list organized as well. An iPad could come in really, really handy for that. Now, you don't have to buy everything brand new. There are plenty of ways to get affordable gear without emptying out your wallet. Check out places like Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, or even local music stores. In their used department, you can get used gear. And you can usually find really, really good deals on equipment that's barely been used. If you're just testing the waters, you might even consider renting gear from a local music shop until you're ready to invest. Alright, so you have all your gear, you've practiced your songs, you have your set lists all worked out. The next step is marketing yourself and booking those gigs. Let's talk about how to get started and get those first few gigs under your belt. When it comes to booking your first gigs, start with what's easiest. Reach out to friends and family. Private parties are a great way to get your feet wet without too much pressure. And maybe you can even offer them a little bit of a discount just to get you started. Once people hear how good you are, they're going to want to book you for more gigs. Another important thing is to book venues and event types that best match your style and best match your set list. If your 30 songs are comprised of Metallica and Megadeth, you probably don't want to market yourself to nursing homes. You get the idea. Next, start contacting local venues like cafes, bars, or restaurants. And again, you might want to offer to play that first gig at a discount just to get exposure, just to get the clients there to hear you and like what it is that you do. And just to maybe make the tip money that you'll get, because that is a start. The goal here is to build your reputation. Once you've done a few gigs, the paid ones will follow. You could also try going to these venues in person and ask for the person in charge of the bookings. And make sure when you do, you have a business card to hand them. Of course, social media is a very powerful tool for marketing yourself. If you don't already have an Instagram, Facebook, or some other type of social media account, definitely, I recommend that you get one started. And when you get one started, post clips of your performances on these platforms. This shows potential clients just what you can do and helps spread the word that you are available to take gigs. In the future, I'm going to be making more videos where I actually share tips on how to go about videoing and editing your own shows so that you can use that footage for promotion. Let me know in the comments if this is something you'd like to see. Another great way to connect with people looking to hire musicians is through gig apps or gig websites like Gig Salad, Thumbtack, or Wedding Wire. These platforms can help you find gigs in your area, especially if you're just starting out. You could also just try cold calling or emailing venues. This can be a great way to get gigs. Find the bars, clubs, and coffee houses, etc. in your area and hit them up on their social media platforms where you could send them links to your work showcasing what you do. Or better yet, maybe that venue hosts an open mic where you can go down and meet the people who actually booked the venue and then get up there and play a couple of tunes, show them just what you can do. Remember, you may get some rejection, especially at first, but don't let this deter you. This method requires a thick skin, but that is the name of the game in this business. And if you haven't already guessed, I have a video link in the description where I talk about some ways to help you get more solo acoustic gigs. It's definitely worth watching. So there you have it. If you've watched this video to the end, there is no doubt in my mind that you have what it takes to make that extra $500 or more every month just with a simple set list of 25 to 30 songs, playing short gigs at local venues, and working a flexible schedule. It's a fun and profitable way to turn your passion into extra income. Other side hustles can be stressful or physically draining. But when you're doing something that you love, like playing music, it's actually fun, fulfilling, and energizing. Plus, there's nothing quite like the feeling of getting paid to pursue your passion. I do it, and so can you. I'm Frank Persico, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.